thank you everybody for coming. Sorry about any of the issues you might have had getting in, but we've got Rob Corrigan with us today from the VBOC, and he's going to be talking about Veterans Business Resources and what he does with the Outreach Center. So without further ado, Mr. Corrigan, please take it away.
Good morning. I hope everybody can see my slides and hear me okay. What the Veterans Business Outreach Center is for some of you are already familiar, some of you aren't, so I'll just go over baseline. The Small Business Administration through the Office of Veterans Business Development has 28 VBOCs. We good?
Let me just make a quick note here. We are in a meeting mode. So if you don't mind, if you want to ask a question, that's fine. But if you don't mind, otherwise, if you could please put yourselves on mute, that would be fantastic.
So anyway, there's 28 VBOCs. Each VBOC covers a region. Our VBOC covers Tennessee and Kentucky. So we work with the SBA district offices out of Tennessee and Kentucky. We work with the Office of Veterans Business Development out of DC. And we work with all the other partner resources from the SBA and outside the SBA. So I'll kind of go over some of who some of those partner resources are and some of what we can do and who we do it for. But we do the boots to business. I'll talk about the locations and where we are, where we can be, and what we can do. So again, we're funded by the SBA. All those VBOCs, the 28 VBOCs throughout the country, are funded by grants. Each grant goes through a nonprofit. Our nonprofit is Pathway Lending, a community development financial institution out of Nashville Metro Center. And I know a lot of you might be familiar with Pathway and the other work that they do around Nashville, but we're uniquely placed under a CDFI, so we can not only talk about all the services that we do, but we also have some unique resources for access to capital. And I'll talk about at least one of those being the Vet Loan Fund. Who can go to VBOC? Transitioning service members can go, veterans, National Guard, reserve members, military spouses. And I'll make that a little simpler. They let us define veteran and veteran spouse, which I love because it can get kind of muddied as far as who that is. If you honorably served in the military at any given time, you are a veteran by our definition, and that's who can access our services. We're very liberal as far as what documents we need or accept to prove that. I've gone as far as someone sending me a picture of them in uniform once. It was good enough for me. And we define veteran spouse as anyone that was married at any given time to someone that fit that previous category. And that allows us to work with anybody that was married to the military, even in case of divorce or death or other situations. So because of those definitions, we can help a lot of people. And the services that we provide are transitioning services, helping them move from Army to business, helping them move from post to post. We can do pre-business plan counseling. We help them with business plans. We have a follow-up course through the SBA. And it's called Revenue Readiness. I'll show a specific slide on that, but that helps them build a business plan from scratch. So we know that a lot of startups need that to go in front of a lender or to just kind of give them a roadmap to move on. Concept assessments. We do a lot of counseling that is, hey, I have this great idea. And we take it from shaping the idea into a concept, into a value proposition, into a business plan, into maybe even access to capital or getting doors open. So we do that pre-business counseling. We do a comprehensive feasibility analysis. We actually have a few different documents, one or two that I may have stolen off the SCORE website and rebranded as my own, maybe not. But a good feasibility analysis, we have an actual document we can let them fill out. Entrepreneur training counseling. And one of the biggest things that I do with them is resource navigation. There's so many different websites and so many different organizations, most of them good, some of them questionable. One of the things I can do is I can talk to somebody about even a YouTube video that they watched, and I'll vet that resource for them, or I'll tell them about programs. I probably get 50 emails a day about programs and things that are going on. I got one from Ray Milano at the SBA today that I'm still reading through. There's so many things. A huge amount of that today was from the Chamber of Commerce. So reading through resources like that clients might not know about, and finding out about programs and things that are out there. Even seed money was one of the things that was in the Chamber of Commerce one this morning. Where are we and who do we cover? Like I said, we cover all of Tennessee and Kentucky. The arrows that you see on there are specific places that we travel to or that we're at. I have an office on Fort Campbell. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. I have an office in Nashville. We travel to Fort Knox once a month to teach Boots to Business. We teach 2 Boots to Business classes at Fort Campbell every month. We teach 1 Boots to Business at NSA Mid-South, right over there by Memphis. And I can also travel to areas outside of these arrows and do requests. So if you want me to come and hold an event, especially between now and 1 May, I'm trying to schedule a few events. So if you want me to come and set up a table or talk or anything about veteran resources for businesses, I can do that at a request. So that's kind of where we're at.
Rob, excuse me for 1 second. We've got
Yeah.
a question.
Yes.
Do you also expand your services to children's of veterans?
Yes, but not officially under the SBA program. But a lot of times what I've done is if people are helping their family members that were veterans with the business, then we'll assist them. But they're not listed as a specific category, but the absolute bottom line truth is I don't say no to anybody. If they have a tie to the veteran community, I'll try to help them. What I did in one case was I listed the dad because he was involved with the business. He just wasn't a percentage owner. I listed the dad as the actual client. So we got him registered. And then any of the time that I spent talking to the kid, I put towards the dad as the official veteran record of the counseling session.
That's awesome.
Not in a gray area, but I need a place to put that time for counseling.
Thank you.
The Office of Veterans Business Development is not like your other government agencies. They do not have a ton of onerous regulations. As long as we're doing the right thing, in quotes, they give us a lot of freedom. And I think the directors take that and do the right things with it. I don't think anybody really takes advantage of it. What services do we provide? Very much like SBDCs, like SCORE too, as opposed to the mentors, but I can also put people with mentors, either if they're clients of mine through the VBOC or people that work at Pathway Lending that are on my grant. So I have a real estate professional, I have a marketing professional, I have a nonprofit professional, I have multiple lending experts that have accounting experience, banking experience. So I can match people up within my little network. And then I also use SCORE when I need to go outside that network and match them up with somebody else. So these are some of the things that we can do as far as programs. And the big thing you see there is navigation of programs and resources. I love that line because that's what I think I do 70% of the time. Boots to Business. The primary program out of the Office of Veterans Business Development is the outreach centers. The primary program out of the outreach centers is Boots to Business. It is a 2-day entrepreneurship class, introduction to entrepreneurship. I'll show you the different modules and the things that we discuss. It's all these things. We've had updated, but we start out, just introduction. What is business ownership? What are different ways to get involved? We talk about franchises and buying existing and all of those things. And then we move into more specifics, understanding economic models, legal questions as far as entities, LLCs, S Corp, C Corps. So really any questions that they have, how to finance your venture, what kind of capital opportunities are out there for you, introduction to business planning. We talk about business model canvas. We're doing a lot more in the next few classes to really integrate business model canvas into the entire 8 modules. So they're actually going to have a large business model canvas that they're going to fill out as a group. So by the end of the 2 days, they will not have done a business plan, but they will have done a business model canvas. So they're familiar with that concept. And it really gives them an introduction to business planning in a neat new way, I think. And then we do resources. And in that resource slide, we not only talk to them about partner resources like SCORE and SBDCs and WBCs, but we also talk to them about the other networks that are out there, like Bunker Labs, Rosie Network, IVMF. And I know this probably is not news for most of you, but do you guys know about the merger between IVMF and Bunker Labs? Well, that's happening and happened. So IVMF, Syracuse University is taking over Bunker Labs. That's going to affect our Nashville community and our national community as far as veterans are concerned. So that's a neat thing. If you're not familiar with IVMF, that's Institute for Veteran Military Families. Ran out of a grant through Syracuse University. And then this is a really neat course. If you go to my 2-day Boots to Business class and you're registered as completed, you qualify for this class through Mississippi State. It is an online class, and the online class is 2 days a week, 1 hour each day, and it guides you through what you need to do a business plan. They offer a free access to an account through software called LivePlan. I don't know if anybody out there uses LivePlan, but it's probably, to me, it's the best business planning software out there. And they guide you through. So at the end of the 6 weeks, you have a full business plan. If you've done the homework, they won't do it for you. They also have an AI component in LivePlan that assists you in getting started. So that's a neat little tool. And then we, as a VBOC, have a great thing that we can offer. Once they're done with Mississippi State, if they request it, they can transfer their LivePlan over to us. So not only will they not have to get a personal account, they don't have to pay for it, but also it comes with a free person that I have on staff, George Ortega, who has an MBA and is my business planning specialist. He can take what they've created and help them continue to kind of mold it and shape it. And one of the things he does is he helps work with the client and a lender to make sure the business plan meets the lender's needs as far as what they want to see out of it. So that's something you can't really get out of any business plan course, but you get that free mentor that, not free, I hate using that word. Everybody costs money. I see how much he gets paid out of the budget, but at no cost to the client. And they get that mentor to go along and help them and shape that plan. So that's a great course and a great asset that we have for the VBOC. We have the only VBOC that has an office on a military installation in the world, period, is us. And that's just through a great partnership and a great network through Fort Campbell. I've been on Fort Campbell since 2003. So I have a relatively large network, and we were able to secure this office, and we just recently moved into a new office on Fort Campbell. So we're out of this building now, but we have a new, and we're in with the career skills program. So that's all the people transitioning out of the military, trying to figure out what they're going to do. And it's a great fit for us. And we've even been offered an office on Fort Knox, but we don't have the personnel to cover that in Kentucky. But that's a pretty neat thing that we have. We're in that office 4 days a week. That when we're not teaching Boots to Business. So we're in there Monday through Thursday. There's always a place where somebody can walk in and get some business advice. This is our office in Metro Center in Nashville. This is in the Pathway Lending building. I mentioned before, Pathway Lending is a CDFI that works with greater Nashville area, and they actually lend all through Tennessee. They do a ton with affordable housing. They do a lot with grants. They do a lot in sponsorships and in other programs. They used to house a WBC. Now they still run a women's entrepreneurship center, but that's all in-house. That's all self-funded. They don't do that through a grant through the government anymore. But they still do the VBOC. And we have an office. I can meet people in Nashville when needed. We're not in there all the time, but there's always a way to get a hold of us and connect with us through Nashville. Some of the other resources that we have out there, you notice I have some SBA partners, but I also have some SBA non-partners. I also have Bunker Labs, and we have Vet LLC. They have online on-demand learning. One of the big resources that isn't listed yet, because it's not complete, but I just signed a contract. So the statement of work's done, the money's been pledged. We're going to have a separate page through Pathway Lending's infrastructure. We're going to have a separate page for veteran businesses. That's going to have on-demand courses like how to start an LLC in Tennessee, how to start an LLC in Kentucky. And that's also going to have a veterans business page to where if a veteran business in Tennessee or Kentucky wants to be listed, they can list their food truck, their supply company. And then I'm going to push that out to all the non-veteran clients, including your network, to where if they want to hire a veteran business to cater an event, they want to hire a veteran business to do graphic arts or to set up a website, all they'll have to do is give this one-stop shop, and they'll be able to sort maybe by NAICS code. I haven't figured that out yet, but they'll be able to sort by something to find all of those veteran-owned businesses. Because right now there's not one good listing of all veteran businesses in a state. There's pay to play. There's organizations out there that if you pay them a certain amount of money, they'll put your business on this page. This is going to be free to all VBOC clients. And then again, at no cost to them, I mean. So that's a big thing there. Vet Loan, I'll talk really briefly on. Vet Loan is a product that was put together by Citibank, Bank of America. It was all done through the People's Fund. And that is a product that has a cap on interest rate. So that cap is below 10%. Pathway Lending has a streamlined process for amounts of money, 50,000 and below. This can be for a veteran or a veteran spouse-owned business. That's defined as the veteran or veteran spouse owns more than 20%, not 51% like government contracting. So as long as they own 20% or more, they qualify for this loan product. And it has a 5-year term. And it could go up beyond $50,000, but the streamlined process is for 50 and below. Anything above that probably requires more documentation. And it can cover startups. Of course, it fits easier with existing businesses, but startups are not automatically discriminated. But this veteran loan product was put together for a lot of the same reasons as like the SBA lending, to where it's for people that can't get funding another way. But this isn't a second chance lending product. This is a first chance lending product. It means it's going to compete and be more competitive than a lot of other things out there. So this is whenever we get somebody that's trying to access capital that's a veteran or veteran spouse, I send them here first. And if they can qualify for this, it's usually the lowest cost of money. If they can't qualify for this, we turn them right back into the SBA products. And we try to get them to a SBA lender. And that's not just Pathway, it's any SBA lender, to include Brightbridge, which is the community advantage lender out of Chattanooga. So that's a great resource. And that's not just for veterans, that's for community advantage lending. If you're familiar with that product under the SBA, it's a great place to send people that might not be able to get products a different way.
Okay. Rob, for that veterans loan that you just mentioned, I heard you say a 5-year term. Is the interest rate then based on the person's credit worthiness or score, or is there a flat interest that goes on with that?
It's really kind of a flat interest rate because of the cap. With the 50,000 and below, the 8.49% is the cap. And it can't really go too much below that, even if they had perfect credit, because we're already at prime pretty much at that point. I'm going to stop share at that point and look for questions if I have any.
There was actually a question about what do you need to staff Fort Knox?
I just need one person that would live in the Fort Knox area, in the Radcliffe, Kentucky, Elizabethtown area.
Okay.
What's going to happen
that was
there?
Sean O'Keefe asking that question, by the way.
What's going to happen there is they're going to put Kentucky back up for a bid. Kentucky was one of the expansion VBOC possibilities, and there's a few other ones out there. We just added 6 as of 1 May 2023. And when the new grant comes around, which will be 1 May 2024, they may put Kentucky back up for a bid, and it would get its own VBOC. If that happened, I would work with whoever gets that bid and the TAP office at Kentucky, and I'd make sure they get an office. Right now, we can't do it with our existing infrastructure, but if we got another grant and we hired more people, then I could staff it.
Okay. So we have another question here. Do you provide services for vets outside Tennessee trying to start a business in Tennessee?
Absolutely. And what we do is we have the network of all of the other VBOCs. Sometimes we'll work with two VBOCs, we'll work with one client. That happens a lot in Alabama when they're right there by the border. And they'll transfer from the Mississippi VBOC, which covers Alabama as well. They'll transfer from that VBOC to mine. Or if I know that they're going to come here, I have several clients right now that are in Georgia and a few other places that are going to be coming to Nashville because Nashville is so small business friendly. And I start working with them now. So I'll go ahead and have their existing VBOC. If they're working with one, I'll have them transfer over to me. So even if they're still living in Georgia, I know the business is going to go into Tennessee. I'll start working with them as a client now.
That's really cool. A question from Justin. Are the resources for loans on for capital or equipment?
Both. And it's just a documentation thing as far as what they need for what type of loan. So if it's secured asset, it's going to be a little bit different. And it might take slightly longer, but it's probably going to be a better chance of getting that loan closed.
Okay.
The
So
only limitations on what that money can be used for is CDFI has all of the lending limitations of a bank plus the lending limitations of the SBA as far as they won't loan to certain types of businesses. So even if the business is legal and above board, if it falls into what they consider speculative or sin businesses, they won't loan to it. And that's, you know, your sexual materials, your real estate investing, not real estate for the business, but just real estate investing in general. So there are some limitations as what that funds can be used for.
Sean O'Keefe said he'd be happy to staff Knox part-time if it comes to be.
That will be a conversation if we get a separate Kentucky VBOC.
Fantastic. Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Corrigan? Did I see that? Did I see that correctly on your graph that veterans tend to get loans easier than non-vets?
Yeah, I have a great slide. I don't have it prepped for sharing right now. There's this great slide in Boots to Business that shows all of these characteristics of your typical veteran. And it shows resilience, flexibility, determination, and these common traits that veterans have. Well, then you go over to the other side and you say, okay, well, what type of traits does it take to be a successful business owner? What type of characteristics, and especially under character, under the 5 C's, what do lenders look for when they're looking for somebody to loan money to? All those traits, all those things that your typical veteran has are the same things that lenders look for in order to loan money. So a much higher percentage, I think it's 6% of all small businesses are owned by veterans, when less than 4% of the population qualifies for that definition. So a big 2% margin gap from veteran business owners to non-veteran business owners.
That's impressive. That's impressive. So Justin is asking, what's the best way to meet with you? I can connect the two of you after this if you'd like me to do that. If you don't mind me giving him all your contact information.
No, please do it. One of the last slides of my, hang on one second, it might still be. Aha, I'm going to share my screen back.
Okay.
I was at one time prepared for those type of questions. All right, everybody should have that up there in front of them, and I apologize for the lack of a QR code on there. I've pretty much updated everything but this as far as having a QR code, but that's my contact information. That Calendly link right there. Actually, you can schedule an appointment directly with me. I do tons of Zoom. Like I said, I'm not in Nashville a lot. I can be upon request. It's only a 35, 40-minute drive. And again, I'll be there this evening.
So just for my edification, I mean, I used to do a lot of stuff with Bunker Labs. Now they've merged with the,
IVMF.
yeah. Can you give us a little bit more information about that and why that is really beneficial?
What I think what was happening, and I kind of saw this as Bunker Labs was running parallel efforts to the SBA funded partner resources. And every time that an SBA partner would do anything, they'd mention Bunker Labs, but it wasn't coordinated effort. It was running parallel, almost with a wall in between us. And somebody probably at the Office of Veterans Business Development, I can't imagine that Ray Milano didn't have something to do with it, or maybe even Larry Stubblefield. Somebody said, hey, let's suck them in. They've grown big enough and they have such a great partner establishment. They have so many resources, but they're not coordinated with us. And so I think what they did is they increased, and this is speculative a little bit. I think they increased the budget amount that goes into IVMF and allowed them to suck in Bunker Labs. But what that's going to do for all of us is we took what IVMF was and we took what Bunker Labs was, and we put them all sort of under the hat of the SBA, under the Office of Veterans Business Development. So now by reaching out to your VBOC or by reaching out to IVMF, you get all of the goodness that was Bunker Labs and all of the goodness that was IVMF up under one calendar. One of my challenges, one of the things that we're really working with our LinkedIn newsletter, and by the way, if you haven't gone to LinkedIn, Tennessee, Kentucky VBOC, you can Google that any way you want and it'll pop up. I've made sure I've done some SSO. But we put out a newsletter. What we're trying to do is capture all of the events for Tennessee and Kentucky that have to do with veteran businesses off SCORE's website, off the district calendars, off the national calendars, off, and trying to combine those into one product. I think this merger between IVMF and Bunker Labs is going to take all of those events that were on multiple calendars and throw them all on one. So you go to one place and you see everything that's going on. That's going to help for conferences. That's going to help for online learning. It almost excites me to think about what the website's going to look like when they have all this additional infrastructure.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. We've got one last question here. What are the hours for Metro Center / Venture Circle site?
There is somebody there from 8 o'clock to 4:30, but not necessarily a VBOC person. So there is someone always there. There's always a receptionist. There's always several lenders there between 8:30 and 4:30. I can be there upon request. If I don't have a Boots to Business class that I'm teaching, I can meet someone at Metro Center at pretty much any time that I'm not teaching a class.
And your cohort, George Lopez,
Yeah,
what
Ortega.
exactly does he do?
George Ortega is my MBA business
Ortega,
advisor.
sorry.
He's also one of my senior instructors. So George and I teach the entrepreneurship class together. And then George staffs the Fort Campbell office 3 days a week. I'm there on Mondays. He's there Tuesday through Thursday. And he does walk-ins, phone calls, Boots to Business administration. And I'm actually going to be hiring for George's spot in June. I'm going to be hiring a senior business advisor up underneath the VBOC, and we'll be putting that out. I hope they'll let me put it out in May, or earlier. But I do know for a fact he's moving out west in June.
Wow. Okay. We heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
He's given me more than a 2-week notice.
I guess so. I keep on calling him George Lopez. I guess that
That's
shows
all right.
how old I am and what shows I used to watch, right?
I'll start calling him Lopez too. We'll gaslight him, make him think that's his name.
Perfect. Okay. Any other questions? Any comments? Anything we can throw at Mr. Corrigan today? Okay. All right. thank you guys so much for coming. I will definitely, if you send me those slides, I will send them out to everybody. And then also I will send out the recording. Probably won't happen until tomorrow because I've got an event this afternoon, this evening, but you'll have everything tomorrow.
I'll send you those slides right now, Liz.
Okay.
This
Thank you
was
so much
excellent.
thank you so much everybody for coming, and thank you, Rob. I really appreciate it. It was great.
No problem. Anytime.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. This was excellent, Lisa.
you.
Great
Thanks.
resources. Thank you.